everybody, it's Jim with Reverb.com. We're here at the Orpheum Theater in Madison, Wisconsin with Young the Giant. This is Jake and Eric. Thanks for taking the time, guys.
Howdy, how's it going?
All right. I was just hanging out on stage a little bit, seeing some of the gear. Let's start with the guitars.
I use my Jag on the road because it's just a really good workhorse for me, and it's really reliable and easy to play. In the set, I really don't like to change guitars too much because I have other things that are changing in tonal aspects. So the Jag's like just a really good middle of the road for me. It's like cuts, but it's not too bright and it's not too thick. And yeah, mine's just a 50th anniversary. Fender gave it to me a couple years ago, and I also have a Gibson 336 that I love, but I didn't bring it out on this tour because we flew in and the case is just in shambles. Thanks, Delta. Yeah.
My Jazzmaster is a 63. It was actually at a store called Lark Street Music in New Jersey, in Teaneck, New Jersey. A guy named Buzz runs the shop. And so I found a Jazzmaster there. The clean is so spot on and creamy and awesome. And then once you add effects to it, it just actually gets almost better. So I think the Jazzmaster has become kind of my workhorse guitar. And
I think it's really easy to get a cool overdrive tone. It's really hard to get a chimey, clean tone that actually has some character to it. I feel like that's one of the big strengths of the guitars in your band. It's hard to find a better clean amp than the Deluxe, right? And those are relatively new to the rig, or? I
actually brought my first Deluxe. I had an orange Rocker 30 growing up, and it was so heavy. So I actually sold that and got Deluxe, and since I paired it up with my Gibson, it was just a really good marriage between the two. Like the Gibson's like warmth and the humbuckers really mesh well with like the Fender's just overall cleanness, and also like the reverb on those amps are just phenomenal. And
we've kind of experimented, and I was playing a twin for a while and a Blues Junior at one point, and the Deluxe is kind of the perfect middle ground, especially for the size of venues that we play, because you can actually get some sort of character out of it if you push it a little bit, whereas the twin, it's just you're on like 2 and it's already too loud.
Is there a consideration when you're playing a room like this versus, you guys play festivals, you guys are playing tens of thousands of people all the time.
We've been on big tours, opening up for ginormous bands, playing the biggest rooms you can play, and we also played small radio shows for our really dedicated fans, playing small venues where we don't need a lot of sound. So I think just like simplicity is really good, and for amps, like they kill it. They sound really good, and because their clean is so good, it's so easy to manipulate that sound if you want to add distortion or fuzz or whatever it is.
Does it matter to any of us? Don't change the
we were listening to the new record coming up here, and obviously I hear a lot of cleans, and when I think of clean, I'm thinking compression, I'm thinking a little modulation, a little reverb, and some delay. Is there that one pedal that you have to have in order to achieve your sound?
The Eventide H9 is kind of like the jack of all trades for our band, for our guitars. It's just every Eventide stomp box put into one, and you can manipulate it and like program it with your cell phone, which is kind of too ridiculous, but it's everything from reverb to delay to modulation to the pitch effects.
That was Joe Ciccarelli right there. Joe, when we worked on our first record, we were novices, we didn't really know anything, and he really opened up like a bag of tricks to both of us, just showing us like the old effects racks and then showed us the pedals. And that, honestly, on both of our records, if you got a good ear, you can hear that stuff.
So let's talk a little bit about your board specifically. I saw a Klon, I saw an Afterneath. The H9 is a super powerful rig, but you've kind of built up a rig to supplement all of those sounds, right?
Yeah, so like if you just go straight into the Eventide, it sounds extremely digital a lot of the times. Like we actually use the Moog delays just because they're warmer and darker. So if you run stuff in front of it, like give it a little bit of grit or texture, it really helps to make it not so, that's a clean Eventide effect. So I love the color box, and so does our front of house guy and monitor, because the high pass on it is just great. And when you are using like a modulation, it's great to lose all that low end because it's just noise at the end of the day. Those color boxes are great, and I just got that JS Klon, which is phenomenal. I was at True Tone down in Santa Monica where we live, and they had one, and I didn't think I would ever get one, but my friend Chris was like, you gotta check this out. I think it's better than the Centaur. And I tried it and I was like, oh my god, I gotta get this. And I got it for $200 and it's our main distortion now. Yeah, it sounds like a clone, but it's like $2,000 cheaper than the Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult to kind of find a fine line between like very expensive vintage pedals and gear and then like what just like can people even tell really for a live performance. I think in the studio it's fun to have all the tricks and all the vintage, you know. We did a lot of on this new record we would do like there was this old like 30s like 1939 Gibson amp. It was like just the most amazing like overdrive you can possibly want.
Right.
So rather than using pedals a lot of the times, like I don't think I used one overdrive pedal in the whole record. I think I just used that Gibson amp as my overdrive.
You guys mentioned running direct in the studio, and that's always something of interest to me. So many people think that like you can't get a good sound running your guitar specifically direct.
I guess that's a misconception in our book, because I think we just started to realize like if it's something's really important in the mix, you go straight in the board and create character by like pushing the board. You don't need an amp a lot of the times, and then when you do want like room and separation, an amp's perfect because you're getting that naturally.
You guys, like I said, you guys have a lot of effects. I mean, is there anything that you guys have done in order to kind of limit the signal to noise ratio for that?
I remember playing Lollapalooza the first time and my whole board going down. Like first song, it's like we didn't have a guitar tech at the time, and we were the first band on the main stage, and we went out and nothing, and I remember just pulling out and plugging it straight into the amp, just being like, God damn it. So eventually we got an awesome guitar tech, this guy over here.
Josh.
Come on in, Josh.
That's your cue.
There we go.
So Josh, it's 2 years ago, maybe 3 years? 2 years
It's
ago?
about 2 years now.
About 2 years ago. So he set us up with some really good true bypass switchers. Is that what you call them?
I really back the true bypass loopers. I mean, because it kills so many birds with one stone. I mean, when I met these guys, they were tap dancing constantly, especially this one. You know, it's like just trying to hit pedals all over the board. And then when I talked to them about the bypass loopers, because if one pedal goes down or one cable goes down, you don't lose everything.
And you guys are touring pretty consistently now through the rest of this year and probably into next year too, yeah?
This tour wraps up on November 18th, and then we got 1 or 2 more songs in the studio kind of just to finish off, and then we're going to lay low for a second, and hopefully the record goes well, and we'll be doing all these theaters again and maybe stepping it up even. And
well, they're coming into your town either this year or next year. Look out for the new record. Young the Giant, thanks for hanging with us, dudes.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.